Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 23 of Universe Mode. I am your host and commentator, King Chiron, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Money in the Bank. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know normally I stream the pay-per-views, and I was going to do that, but let's just say I have some other content I'm expecting to start making, hopefully tomorrow. We'll see. We will see. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, instead of a live stream, you get episodes today. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here at Money in the Bank. Let's not waste any more time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's break down the card, start the show. This is part one of, I don't know how many episodes this is going to be. This might be 3. This might be 4 episodes of this. We're going to find out together, ladies and gentlemen. But until then, let's get started. Up first, ladies and gentlemen, we have the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Tiffany Stratton takes on Thea Hill, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Shayna Baszler, and Paige. The winner of this match will be the Miss Money in the Bank contract holder. They are able to cash in Money in the Bank either on Raw or on SmackDown and their women's champion respectively. After that, ladies and gentlemen, we have a triple threat match. Samoa Joe will take on Jimmy Uso, who qualified for this match by beating the current champion, Big E. Big E has lost to both men, and now here at Money in the Bank, he puts the title on the line. After that, ladies and gentlemen, Liv Morgan goes for the gold, trying to upset Rhea Ripley, who's been attacking Liv Morgan in the past. The Women's World Heavyweight Championship is on the line here at Money in the Bank. After that, ladies and gentlemen, the Undisputed Era challenge DIY for the WWE World Tag Team Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, at Backlash, AJ Styles buried Bray Wyatt, and now at Money in the Bank, he deals with The Fiend, who has come for vengeance. After that, ladies and gentlemen, Ilya Dragunov will take on Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship inside of a steel cage. But in our main event, ladies and gentlemen, it is an 8-man ladder match for the men's Money in the Bank briefcase. Roman Reigns takes on Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, the new Intercontinental Champion Kevin Owens, former Intercontinental Champion Santos Escobar, Swerve, Finn Balor, and CM Punk. That is our main event, ladies and gentlemen. But for now, let's start the show. Welcome, and let's enjoy together. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I will not be playing any of these matches. We will be watching. I will be commentating. Let's get into it.
The following contest is a 6-woman ladder match. Making her way to the ring from Prior Lake, Minnesota, Tiffany Stratton.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tiffany Stratton has a major opportunity here, as do all the women in this match, to climb the ladder and cash in. The women's Money in the Bank briefcase so far has had a 100% success rating. That guarantees that the winner of this match will be a new women's champion. And speaking of women's champions,
and representing Damage Control from Tokyo, Japan, Io Sky!
the last woman to win the Money in the Bank ladder match was this woman here, Io Sky. Ladies and gentlemen, Io Sky looks to climb the ladder once again, bring the briefcase to Damage Control, all 2 members. Io Sky in the past few weeks has had her issues with Bayley and Sasha Banks, able to beat Bayley and Sasha Banks alongside Dakota Kai. Both women qualify for Money in the Bank. And now Io Sky has a chance to repeat history, take that Money in the Bank briefcase and cash in and become women's champion. Whether that be on Becky Lynch or current champion Rhea Ripley. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have a personal dark horse in this match, it is this woman here, Thea Hill. Only 20 years old, but she has a very bright future in this business, ladies and gentlemen. And she could start that future today with a win in the ladder match to bring home the Money in the Bank briefcase.
From Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler!
Ladies and gentlemen, Shayna Baszler was one of the greatest NXT Women's Champions of all time. She looks to rekindle said dominance by climbing this ladder, winning the briefcase, winning a women's championship. Shayna Baszler could be the greatest women's champion in history if given the opportunity, and she has been given that very opportunity here.
Representing Damage Control from Auckland, New Zealand, Dakota Kai.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dakota Kai looks to get a huge moment in her career. She's never been women's champion. She's never held a singles women's championship in her entire career. She's been a former women's tag team champion, WWE NXT women's tag team champion, but she's never been women's world heavyweight champion, NXT women's champion, or WWE women's champion. If you had a dark horse, ladies and gentlemen, my personal dark horse is Thea Hill, but Dakota Kai, a second favorite.
And from Norwich, England, Paige!
But ladies and gentlemen, if there was an odds-on favorite, it is probably this woman here, Paige. Former WWE Divas champion, her legacy rival, is AJ Lee, the wife of CM Punk. Paige, her career in WWE ended very short, but AEW gave her the career resurgence that she deserves. But here in Universe Mode, she looks to go for the gold, go for the top championship. And qualifying for Money in the Bank was the first step in that mission statement. The bell rings, and these women immediately go after one another. Thea Hill and Shayna Baszler being thrown out of the ring at the same time. Meanwhile, Io Sky going for a ladder and immediately turned on by Dakota Kai, who takes her out with the steel steps. Lifts up Io Sky, but she reverses out of it, grabs Dakota Kai by her hair, and tosses her in the ring. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ring, Paige throwing Shayna Baszler, who throws Paige back into the ring. Dakota Kai now going after Paige in the middle of the ring. Paige thrown out of the ring. In front of the announce table, Shayna Baszler kicking down and beating up. Meanwhile, Io Sky being targeted by Tiffany Stratton. Shayna Baszler taken down by Thea Hill. Paige takes down Dakota Kai. All these women have yet to try and climb the ladder. These women here focus mainly on dealing damage to their opponents. A great strategy to start off a ladder match. You want to make sure that your opponent is unable to climb the ladder before you can. Meanwhile, Paige takes down Io Sky. Dakota Kai in the ring with the ladder. Sets the ladder up. Dakota Kai going to be the first woman to climb the ladder and go for the briefcase. Paige getting into the ring, going after Dakota Kai, who's already got hands on the briefcase. Unlatches 1, 2, but can't bring the briefcase down before Paige runs up. Dakota Kai trying to knock Paige off the ladder. Continues. Paige finally with the reversal, bounces her head off the ladder. Stiff right. Dakota blocks a second and keeps going. But Io Sky stopping her friend and tag partner. And Dakota Kai takes down Io Sky with a drop kick. Paige with one latch. Dakota Kai runs back up the ladder, is getting knocked off. Ladder knocked over. Thea Hill with a steel chair, clearing house. Tiffany Stratton blocks it, throws the chair down, lifts Thea Hill up, and bounces her back first onto the ladder, ladies and gentlemen. Thea Hill with a huge elbow and a kick to the gut of Tiffany Stratton. Oh, and a rolling thunder onto another ladder for Tiffany Stratton from Thea Hill. Thea Hill with a ladder sets it up in the corner, but Shayna Baszler throwing Thea Hill head first into that setup ladder. Thea Hill rolls out of the ring. Tiffany Stratton still down. Shayna Baszler going to the middle rope. Off the rope, drops a knee onto the head of Tiffany Stratton. Shayna Baszler going to attack the arm and hand. Shayna Baszler now with a chair. Misses that strike on Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton with a reversal finally. And Thea Hill in the ring. Gonna lock in an armbar on Shayna Baszler. But Baszler, UFC experience, kicks Thea Hill right out. Takes down Thea Hill. Dodges a dropkick from Tiffany Stratton. Stratton fighting the way Dakota Kai now. Huge clubbing blow to the back and a spear from Shayna Baszler to Tiffany Stratton, and a spear to Thea Hill from Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler going crazy in this match. Suplexed. Thea Hill rolls through, takes down. Paige knocked down out of the ring. In the ring, it's just Io Sky and Tiffany Stratton. Io Sky dodges a drop kick from Tiffany. Up on the top rope, takes down Tiffany Stratton. Lifts Tiffany Stratton up. Nails her with a spine buster. Tiffany Stratton rolls her through. Gonna lock the arms and head. Shayna Baszler, ground and pound on Dakota Kai. Paige set up on a ladder that's set up between the table, the announce table in the ring. Dakota Kai taking down Shayna Baszler. Thea Hill set up a ladder in the middle of the ring. Dakota Kai takes the ladder from her. Thea Hill trying to fight Dakota Kai off. Meanwhile, Tiffany Stratton sees that no opponents are in the ring. No one can stop her right now. She's going up the ladder, grabs the briefcase. But Dakota Kai runs up to meet her. Tiffany Stratton has her by the head. Takes her off the ladder onto another ladder. Tiffany Stratton throws Thea Hill to the ropes. And Thea Hill runs head first into the ladder. Tiffany Stratton gonna go up. Io Sky and Paige and Shayna Baszler all busy on the outside. Tiffany Stratton can't get the fourth latch. Gets it finally. But Thea Hill knocks the ladder over and drops Tiffany Stratton onto a ladder. Paige thrown out of the ring by Shayna Baszler. Ladies and gentlemen, it comes down to who wants it most. It comes down to who wants it most. Shayna Baszler locked into a Kimura by Thea Hill, and Shayna Baszler got to tap out in the middle of a ladder match. Thea Hill driven into the canvas by Paige. It's just Paige and Tiffany Stratton in the ring now. Tiffany Stratton thrown to the ropes. Paige ducks under, nails her with a drop kick. Thea Hill back in the ring, nails her in the back. Kick to the gut of Thea Hill from Paige. Meanwhile, Tiffany Stratton on the attack of Shayna Baszler. Thea Hill dropping. Thea Hill. Tiffany Stratton dropped by Dakota Kai. Shayna Baszler going after Thea Hill, lifts her up. Spikes her down onto a ladder. Paige has Dakota Kai, nails her with a finish. Paige has going after Shayna Baszler, turns her attention to Tiffany Stratton, throws Tiffany Stratton out of the ring. Paige sending Shayna Baszler up. But Shayna Baszler gonna slip out and take out the leg of Paige. Io Sky back in the ring, finally going after Thea Hill. Kick to the head. And again. Dakota Kai with the Hurricane Rana takes down Paige. Io Sky sets the ladder up. Paige gonna climb the ladder quickly. Thea Hill trying to stop her. Tiffany Stratton stops Thea Hill. Paige gonna do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Paige has won the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Here is your winner and Miss Money in the Bank, Paige.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paige has won the Money in the Bank ladder match here to start the show. Now up next, ladies and gentlemen, we have the triple threat between Samoa Joe, Jimmy Uso, and Big E. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, my controller died. I had to change it really quick.
The following contest is a triple threat match, and it is for the WWE United States Championship. Introducing the challenger from Huntington Beach, California, weighing in at 282 pounds, Sam O.R. Joe.
Ladies and gentlemen, Samoa Joe has been on a warpath as of late. Ever since he failed to get his hands on Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe has been doing his utmost to achieve glory by any means, even by viciously attacking the United States champion Big E. At one point, Samoa Joe tried to steal the U.S. Championship after Samoa Joe was named #1 contender. But that caused a problem that Samoa Joe couldn't have foreseen.
And introducing the challenger, representing the Bloodline from San Francisco, California, weighing in at 251 pounds, Jimmy Uso!
Ladies and gentlemen, when Samoa Joe tried to steal the U.S. title from Big E, he distracted Big E long enough that Jimmy Uso was able to beat Big E and also become #1 contender. Now Jimmy Uso and Samoa Joe both face Big E for the U.S. title. Jimmy Uso, representing the Bloodline, Roman Reigns, had to be very satisfied at the fact that Jimmy Uso, as well as Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, members of the Bloodline, will represent the Bloodline in championship matches. Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa on Raw defeated the New Day to become tag team champions. Could Jimmy Uso
And introducing the champion, representing the New Day from Tampa, Florida, weighing in at 285 pounds, the WWE United States Champion, Big E!
As I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, could Jimmy Uso knock off a New Day member? Could Jimmy Uso capture his first U.S. title? If he's gonna try, he's got to get past Big E and Samoa Joe here. That U.S. title on the line, ladies and gentlemen. And Big E has a big challenge. His first true title defense comes against Samoa Joe, which would be challenge enough. But you add Jimmy Uso into the fact, and now you have a powder keg ready to explode. Samoa Joe has already shown he can beat both these men. Jimmy Uso has shown he can beat Big E, and Big E goes right after Samoa Joe takes him down. But Jimmy Uso clubbing blows to Big E's head. Samoa Joe turns his attention to Jimmy Uso, lifts him up and spikes him down onto a knee. Big E has Samoa Joe from behind, lifts him up and spikes down Joe. Jimmy has Big E, takes him down with a clothesline. Joe misses a clothesline to Jimmy, kick to the gut. Big E with another massive clothesline to Samoa Joe. And Jimmy going after the U.S. champion, locking in a submission here early on, and quickly Big E fighting out of it. Samoa Joe lifting up Jimmy, spikes him down. Big E turns his attention to Jimmy, finally spikes the arm. Big E and Samoa Joe gonna lock up. Big E throwing Joe, Jimmy getting in the middle of it. Big E lifting up Jimmy Uso, spikes him to the canvas. Samoa Joe, grabbed by Big E, fights out with elbows to the gut of the U.S. champion. Samoa Joe lifting up Big E, spikes him down. Big E being carried to the ropes by Joe. And a kendo stick shot to the back from Jimmy Uso to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe fighting Jimmy away. Throws Jimmy to the ropes. Jimmy gets the feet up. Kick to the head. Throws Jimmy. Jimmy with a headbutt to Samoa Joe. Jimmy with a clothesline to Big E now. Jimmy bounce off Samoa Joe. Takes a kendo stick out of Joe's hands. Clubs him in the gut with it. Misses a second shot. Taken down from behind by Big E. Big E in suplex position by Samoa Joe. Big E slipping out of it. Elbow to the back. Joe thrown into the corner. And a huge clubbing clothesline from Big E to Jimmy. Going for a quick pin here. Only gets a count of 1 on Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso with an elbow to the gut of Big E. Big E lifting Jimmy up. Jimmy slips through. DDT to the U.S. champion. And a flowing clothesline from Samoa Joe to Jimmy. Followed by a second clothesline from Big E to Jimmy. Big E lifting up Samoa Joe. Has him up on the shoulder. Power slam takes down Samoa Joe. Jimmy with an elbow to the back of Big E. Big E tosses Jimmy to the corner. Clubbing blow to the gut. Followed by a kick to the gut of Jimmy. Big E lifting Jimmy's legs. Spikes him down. Big E with an elbow to the head of Samoa Joe. Lifts Joe up. Tosses him down. Stomps to the chest. Big E stomping away on Samoa Joe. Jimmy taunting while Big E deals damage to the head and neck of Samoa Joe. Spikes him down. Big E has Jimmy in a stretch, but Jimmy slips through. Tosses Big E down. Goes for a pin here on the U.S. champion. Only gets a count of 1. Jimmy lifting up Big E here. Gonna carry Big E over to the corner. Bounce his head off that turnbuckle. Kick to the gut. Oh, but Samoa Joe with a neck breaker to Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso being lifted up and draped over the ropes. Big E with a clothesline. These men going back and forth here in this triple threat match. Big E lifting up Samoa Joe over his head, slams him down. Power slam. Jimmy has that kendo stick yet again. Big E going off the ropes. Huge splash, signature splash from Big E. Jimmy dodges. Big E tries to nail Big E with an uppercut. He eats the uppercut, lifts Jimmy up. Big ending to Jimmy Uso. Big E gonna retain the title, keeping the championship here. Jimmy able to kick out at 2. Big E with a running bulldog to Samoa Joe, going for a pin on the current #1 contender. Can Samoa Joe kick out here? He does. Gets the shoulder up, keeping the match alive. Jimmy with a huge forearm to the head of the U.S. champion. Big E lifted up, Samoan drop from Big E. Samoa Joe rolls out of the ring. Jimmy Uso, the only one in the ring, throws the ones up. Salute to the tribal chief. Salute to the bloodline. All 3 men outside the ring. Someone busted open with that kendo stick shot. Jimmy Uso fighting out of Big E's hands. And it looks like Jimmy's the one who got the worst of it. Samoa Joe ducks a super kick from Jimmy. Jimmy tries to throw Joe into the ring. Joe reverses. Lifts up Jimmy. Slams him down onto the floor. Big E throwing Samoa Joe back in the ring. Jimmy with a running forearm to Big E. Jimmy back in the ring. Turns his attention to Joe, who lifts him up. Carries him, lifts him over his shoulder, drapes him over the ropes. Big E with a running clothesline takes down Joe. And clubbing blows to the #1 contender. Stomp to the gut. Jimmy carrying Big E over to the corner. Bounces his head off the turnbuckle, busting him open. Big E fighting out of the corner, fighting away from Jimmy Uso. Tries to take him down with a clothesline, but Jimmy catches him. Huge headbutt to the U.S. champion, followed by a huge clothesline to Samoa Joe. Going for the pin here, but Joe kicking out at 1. Jimmy Uso on the attack. Can't let up here. If Jimmy Uso wants that U.S. title, he's going to have to continue to press the issue, to press the pressure on Samoa Joe. Huge right hook to the chin. Jimmy Uso going up to the top rope, stopped by Big E. Huge elbow to the U.S. champion from Jimmy Uso, going for a pin. Big E kicking out at 2. Jimmy Uso very close to picking up his first ever singles championship. If Jimmy Uso can pick up the singles title here, he would have done it before his own twin brother. Jimmy Uso lifting up Joe, slams him down. Jimmy Uso getting back to his feet. Jimmy Uso in firm control here in this match. Lifts up Samoa Joe. Kick to the gut of Jimmy. Joe slammed down by Big E. Big E attacking the arm of Joe, but Jimmy with a clothesline to Big E. Headbutt to the U.S. champion. Samoa Joe getting back to his feet, but Jimmy on the top rope going for that Uso splash. Goes for the pin here. Joe missed the stop. Only a count of 1 before Joe broke up the pin attempt. Jimmy with a strike to the back. Jimmy taken down by Big E here. Big E slamming Joe down. Big E calling for the big ending on Samoa Joe here. Nails it on Samoa Joe. Going for the pin, but Jimmy in the ring stops the count. Strike to the head of Big E. Big E with a huge elbow to the head of Jimmy. And again takes Jimmy down. But Samoa Joe lifting Big E up, slams him. Jimmy breaking the pin attempt up. Jimmy throwing Joe to the corner. Jimmy Uso rolls out of the ring, goes under the ropes. Grabs another kendo stick here. Jimmy Uso gonna bludgeon the U.S. champion with that kendo stick. Big E takes it from him and smacks him in the gut. But Samoa Joe back outside, lifts up Big E. Suplex down to the floor. Jimmy with a roll through takes down Joe and throws up the ones yet again. Jimmy Uso tries to throw Joe in the ring. Samoa Joe throwing Jimmy in the ring instead. Jimmy Uso back on his feet, dives through the ropes and takes out Samoa Joe. Jimmy Uso trying to take out the leg now of Big E Langston. Big E on the floor, writhing in agony. Jimmy going under the ropes, pulls out a sledgehammer and throws it right at the head of Samoa Joe. Jimmy running around the ring, misses the forearm to Big E, who throws Jimmy into the barricade. Samoa Joe bouncing the head of Big E off the ring post. Meanwhile, Samoa Joe with elbows to the gut of Jimmy. Throws Jimmy off the ring post. And Samoa Joe gonna throw Big E away. Big E grabbing Joe. Double team maneuver coming here. Jimmy holding Joe down while Big E delivers massive chops to Joe. Jimmy taking the legs of Big E out yet again. Big E on the ground, bleeding out. Meanwhile, Jimmy Uso grabs that kendo stick. Samoa Joe tossing the ring. Jimmy getting back in the ring here. Throws the kendo stick at Joe, who ducks and rolls out of the way. But Jimmy rolling Joe up, going for a pin. Big E breaking it up quickly. Big E carrying Jimmy to the ropes, hangs him up. Throws him over the ropes. Big E going off the rope. Spear through the ropes, takes Jimmy Uso out. Samoa Joe now with the steel chair. Big E having Jimmy up in powerbomb position. nails him onto the floor. Joe tried to use that steel chair for some extra advantage. Big E knocks it out of his hands. Wicked combination from the U.S. champion, who throws Joe back in the ring. Big E getting fired up here. Big E with a splash down onto Jimmy Uso. Big E goes back into the ring. Targets Joe, rolls Joe through. Going for a pin on Samoa Joe. But Samoa Joe kicks out at 2. Big E not letting up the pressure. Ladies and gentlemen, Big E bleeding all over the place. Jimmy Uso on the top rope. Dive to the outside, takes out Big E. Stomp to the already bleeding head of Big E. Stomp to the back of the head. Big E bleeding everywhere. Samoa Joe thrown into the ring post by Jimmy Uso, who now targets the leg of Samoa Joe. Big E trying to get back to his feet, fighting out of Jimmy Uso's hands. Big E and Samoa Joe gonna double team Jimmy Uso here, driving him down to the floor. Big E tried to throw Samoa Joe. Joe rebounded, caught himself. Huge elbows to Big E. Big E throwing a wicked right that nails both Joe and Jimmy. Jimmy thrown back into the ring. Samoa Joe thrown into the ring by Big E. Big E back in the ring. Meanwhile, Jimmy Uso picking up Samoa Joe. Super kick to the head and to the back of the head. Going for a quick pin here. Broken up by Big E. Jimmy Uso being lifted up by Big E and slammed down. Jimmy Uso being lifted up to his feet. Struck on the head. U.S. champion lifting up Jimmy and slams him down. Meanwhile, Samoa Joe with a massive choke slam takes down Big E. Lifts him back up and misses a roll through. Big E lifting up Joe. Spikes him down onto the canvas. All three men are tired, ladies and gentlemen. They're worn out here. It comes down to grit. It comes down to who has the wherewithal, who has whatever is left in the tank to get it done. Big E with the baseball bat takes out Jimmy, but Joe takes it and nailing Big E with it. Takes Big E down with that baseball bat. Jimmy knocking the bat out of Samoa Joe's hands. Joe blocks Jimmy. Jimmy throwing Samoa Joe out of the ring. Samoa Joe being lifted up by Jimmy. He's throwing Joe back in the ring. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the pinfall or the submission can only be counted inside the ring. Samoa Joe down. Big E rushes in. Choosing his target. Attacks Joe. Throws Joe to the ropes. Huge shoulder tackle from Big E. And Big E gonna lift up Jimmy. Nails the big ending, going for the pin. U.S. title retained here. Jimmy can't kick out, it's over. Jimmy kicks out at 2, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy Uso is keeping this match alive. Somehow, Jimmy, with a huge shoulder, takes down Big E, a stomp. Jimmy Uso, Samoan drop to Big E. Goes for the pin on the U.S. champion, but Samoa Joe there to break it up. Samoa Joe lifting Jimmy up, huge German suplex, takes Jimmy out of the equation. Samoa Joe outside the ring. Grabs the steel steps. He decides to throw him down. Big E and Joe taunting each other like two wild bears in the woods. But Joe going after the weaker Jimmy Uso, who nails Joe with a baseball bat. Big E knocks the bat out of Jimmy's hands. Jimmy throwing Big E out of the ring. Jimmy lifting up Samoa Joe. Kick to the gut. Huge clubbing blow to the back of Samoa Joe. Biggie tried to grab Jimmy from behind. Jimmy with an elbow, but Biggie has Jimmy up. Gonna squat with Jimmy Uso in the upright position. Suplex takes down Jimmy. But Big E lifted up by Joe. Nailed with the finish. Jimmy there to break it up. Big E has to roll out of the ring. He's out of it for now. Samoan drop to Samoa Joe. This is your chance, Jimmy. Jimmy with the baseball bat. Nails Joe in the head. Joe rolling out of the ring. Big E back in. Jimmy with a running forearm takes down Big E. Punch to the head. But a clothesline to the back from Samoa Joe takes out Jimmy. Samoa Joe carrying Big E to the ropes. Bounces head up the turnbuckle. Jimmy. Super kick to the head. And out of the back of the head of Joe. Lifts Samoa Joe up. Lifts him up again. Drives Joe into the back. Jimmy Uso trying to focus on the U.S. champion. Can't quite get to him. Big E in the way. Big E lifting up. And spikes Jimmy Uso. Big E carrying Samoa Joe to the center of the ring. Big E too tired to nail the signature. Joe back to his feet. Throws Big E to the ropes. Big E ducks under. Tries to suplex Joe. Gets him up. But Jimmy with an elbow to the head of Big E. Going for the pin here. And Jimmy Uso, ladies and gentlemen, gets the pin.
Here is your winner and the new WWE United States Champion, Jimmy Uso.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Uso is your new U.S. champion. In only match 2, ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Uso is now U.S. champion. But up next, ladies and gentlemen, Liv Morgan takes on Rhea Ripley of the Judgment Day for the Women's WWE World Championship.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall and is for the WWE Women's World Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, Liv Morgan has been on the receiving end of attacks from Rhea Ripley all month long. Liv Morgan looks to settle the score by defeating Rhea Ripley for the Women's World title here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Judgment Day in full force. The only member missing right now is JD McDonough. But Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio escorting Rhea Ripley, the Women's World Champion, to the ring. And ladies and gentlemen, later tonight, Finn Balor competes in the Money in the Bank ladder match, but he didn't want to miss Rhea Ripley's match. Gave it up to the Judgment Day for loyalty. If nothing else, these members are loyal to one another. All four corners taken up by the Judgment Day, who pose on the ropes together as a unit.
Introducing the challenger from Elmwood Park, New Jersey, Liv Morgan!
Ladies and gentlemen, Liv Morgan looking to get a big win here.
From Adelaide, Australia, the WWE Women's World Champion, Rhea Ripley!
But to get that win, she has to go through a very dominant Rhea Ripley. Bell rings and Liv Morgan goes right for Rhea, takes her down with a drop kick right out of the gate, and a huge stomp to the gut. Ripley getting back to her feet, and Liv Morgan kicks her in the head, takes her down. Liv Morgan going after the knee of Rhea Ripley. It targets the legs of Rhea. Rhea Ripley comes into this match with injured ribs already. Kicked upside the head from Rhea Ripley to Liv Morgan. Followed by a huge elbow to the chin. Tosses Rhea. Rhea tossing Liv Morgan out of the ring. And Rhea rolls out. Rhea Ripley with stomps to the chest of Liv Morgan. And a stomp to the head. Referee starting the count on the outside. Stomp to the back of Liv Morgan. And Ripley going to continue to assault Liv Morgan here with punches and a slap to the face. Liv Morgan with a kip up. But Ripley back in the ring. Ref trying to keep Rhea Ripley from showing too much brutality. And Liv Morgan takes advantage, takes down Rhea, and goes for a quick pin. Can Liv Morgan get the pin here? No. Only a count of one, ladies and gentlemen. Liv Morgan misses a stomp on Ripley. Throwing Ripley to the ring. Lifts her up and slams her down. Liv Morgan has been attacked by Rhea Ripley for weeks now. And I've said this before, but ladies and gentlemen, the thing about it is, on the last attack, Liv Morgan was able to damage the ribs of Rhea Ripley. Lifted up and slammed by Ripley is Liv Morgan, followed by a huge knee to the head of Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan gives herself an advantage by Ripley coming in with injured ribs. But Rhea Ripley is a tough opponent, a tough target on any day. Rhea Ripley, shot to the head on Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan ducks out of the way. Rhea throws Liv to the ropes, ducks under, hops over, drop kick to Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan getting back to her feet. Punch to the head. And again. But elbows to that injured rib cage of Rhea Ripley, giving Liv the advantage, if only briefly, before Rhea takes control back. Drop kick from Rhea Ripley to Liv Morgan. Takes Rhea. Rhea kick to the back on Liv Morgan. Lifting Liv Morgan up. And tossing Liv Morgan down. Liv with a kip up. Takes the advantage. Grabs Rhea by her hair. Hangs her up on the ropes. Liv Morgan going off the top rope here with Rhea in a bulldog position. Takes Rhea Ripley down. Liv Morgan taunting here. Picking Rhea Ripley up. But Rhea with a kick. Rhea Ripley trying to throw Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan throws Rhea into the ropes instead. And Liv Morgan with a kick to the leg of Rhea Ripley. Ripley thrown into the exposed turnbuckle by Liv Morgan. Arm slammed down. Rhea Ripley now throwing Liv Morgan into the exposed turnbuckle. And Rhea Ripley going to go for a quick pin here on Liv Morgan. Can she retain? Liv Morgan kicking out at 1. Rhea Ripley with a stomp. Rhea Ripley dropping Liv Morgan down. And does it again. Liv Morgan got to roll out of the ring. Roll to safety. In the middle of Judgment Day, Liv ducks out of the way of a drop kick from the top rope from Rhea. Liv Morgan now going to attack the leg of Rhea Ripley here. Rhea Ripley kick to the gut. Huge code breaker from Liv Morgan to Rhea Ripley on the floor. Rhea Ripley thrown into the ring. Referee only got to a count of 6, going for a pin now. Referee sees it. Kick out at 1 from Ripley. And Dominic Mysterio getting involved, distracting Liv Morgan, giving Rhea Ripley the chance to take Liv down. Stomp to the head of Liv Morgan. And again, followed by stomps to the chest of Liv Morgan. And again, more stomps from Ripley. Ripley continuing the assault here. Ripley picking up Morgan. But Liv Morgan, elbows to those injured ribs. Yet again, off the rope. Grabs Rhea by the head with the legs. Hurricane Rana takes down Ripley. Ripley lifted up here. And Liv nailing the finish on Rhea Ripley. Drags Ripley into the middle of the ring, but the referee is being distracted by Finn Balor. Finn Balor probably just cost Liv Morgan the championship. Stomp to the gut of Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley down. Liv Morgan telling Ripley to get up as Liv Morgan's on the top rope. Looking for a huge crossbody splash. Liv Morgan gonna taunt some more. Get some momentum. Get the crowd on her side. Liv Morgan has a huge opportunity here. And Rhea snatches it right away. Rhea lifting Liv up. Spikes Liv down onto the canvas. And Rhea going for a pin here on Liv Morgan. This has got to be it, ladies and gentlemen. No! Liv Morgan kicking out at 2. But Liv crawling to the corner. Trying to get back to her feet. Rhea Ripley with a huge elbow into the corner on Liv Morgan, followed by a stomp. And more stomps to Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan has fought valiantly in this match. She's done her best to stay alive, and for a moment, it looked like she could even possibly get the win. But Rhea Ripley, kick to the head. Liv Morgan looking for the finish. Yet again, nails it on Ripley. One more time. Liv Morgan nailed the finish one more time. This is her best chance, going for the pin. But Ripley kicks out at 2 to keep the match alive. Liv Morgan up to the top rope. She decides better. Liv Morgan grabbing Rhea by the hair, drives her down to the canvas, followed by a huge knee to the head. Liv Morgan taunting and posing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are down to the last 5 minutes into this episode. If you have liked this content thus far, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you can stay updated for when I drop more episodes of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Back to the action. Rhea Ripley trying to throw Liv in the ring. Liv with the counter, throwing Liv in the ring instead. Liv Morgan has evened out this match in a desperate, drastic way. DDT to Rhea Ripley. If Liv Morgan can hit You Only Live Once one more time, but Damian Priest getting involved, distracting Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley having the time to recover. Kick to the gut. Riptide nailed on Liv Morgan. And Rhea Ripley going for the pin here on Liv Morgan. That's got to be it, ladies and gentlemen. The Judgment Day come through for Rhea Ripley.
Here is your winner, and still the WWE Women's World Champion, Rhea Ripley!
Rhea Ripley got the victory over Liv Morgan she wanted. Championship still in her hands. Rhea Ripley is still WWE Women's World Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do for this part of Money in the Bank. I will see you all very shortly for part 2. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, take care and have a beautiful, beautiful day.